Businesses happy with the JobSeeker cuts. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee and let's have a look at this article from the ABC about some New South Wales businesses that are happy with the JobSeeker cuts after struggling to find staff. Now, a shopkeeper, a baker and a shipbuilder walk into a bar. Well, no, I gotta be serious. Although it is the funny start of a joke. A shopkeeper, a baker and a shipbuilder in New South Wales say they cannot get enough staff and hope cuts to job seeker payments will ease their staffing problems. And this seems to be, well, a story that we're hearing more and more. But it's not universal. I'd say it's not universal at all. There isn't a shortage of people looking for work. There's just particular areas that are having trouble getting them. And frankly, in some regards, that's always going to happen. It just is exacerbated if you have a welfare system. So in March 2020, there were 40 jobs on offer at Harwood Marine, a shipbuilding and repair business in the Clarence Valley. 6 months later, only 22 of them have been filled. Co-owner Ross Roberts and his crew have been working long shifts to keep the business afloat. If we've got to work all day, every day, we work all day, every day. Everybody just does what's required, he said. That's used to be what Aussies did everywhere. Well, yeah, you just do it. You gotta, well, there's a pride in working. There's a pride in working and doing something and seeing what you've achieved. Last week, Rachel and I went out there and actually had a look at the big project we've been working on this year and seeing it actually become a reality. It's quite satisfying to see. And it's actually encouraging to see a good builder that does a good job. So, there is no doubt that many Australians would not have survived financially during the lockdowns without JobKeeper and the JobSeeker initiatives. Well, that's got more to say with the fact that, well, you're punished for saving. If you have reserves, you're punished for it. And we just have so much money dragged out of us at every opportunity. If you really looked at how many taxes and all the little things that you pay, hidden ones, here, there, everywhere, you can't even have a beer without giving something to the government. Just think about that. However, one of the unintended consequences is that small businesses offering wages at the lower end of the spectrum have found it difficult to secure workers. Mr. Roberts is frustrated. He cannot get the staff he needs in an area that has higher than average rates of unemployment. In July 2020, the Australian Bureau of Statistics reported there was 7.7% unemployment in the Clarence Valley, with 15.3% youth unemployment. I think JobSeeker has become an alternative to working, Mr. Roberts says. I mean, this is the problem. If we ever bring in UBI, what's going to happen then? How many people are just not going to work? I mean, think about that, everyone. I think they've had so much time off that it becomes a little bit of a problem to get started again. And I suspect that we're in the transition period where some people take advantage of it. I mean, that's the issue, guys. We've all had long holidays, haven't we? I remember when I went on my honeymoon with Rachel, I'd saved up all, because I was just working at the Architectural Practice Academy for the government. I've been a government employee. That's how I can see firsthand the amount of waste in there. Oh, boy. But I'd racked up all these time in lieu hours, so I ended up having a 2-month paid holiday. It was fantastic. It was a wonderful trip. But then going back to work, that was a nightmare. That really was, particularly after going to Vanuatu for a honeymoon. So working 90 hours a week. As the pandemic slowdown never happened for Joanne Robson. This business, a supermarket in the small village of Coraki, also on the New South Wales North Coast. Now let me know if I mispronounce that. I know you're all dogging me in my video I did about Perth. There where I'm butchering names, even though when I go to the effort, find examples, find pronunciations online, and the people I'm looking at are doing it wrong too, so you can't win sometimes. Just go with the flow. When shelves in the supermarket emptied in major towns, locals shopped closer to home. combined with a new takeaway and espresso coffee service. Very good. She was desperate to increase her staffing levels. She advertised for shop assistants with job agencies on Facebook and targeted websites with no success. You can't find anyone who wants to work. No one has been made to look for work, she said. I think what the government's done with JobKeeper and JobSeeker has been fantastic for a lot of people because they've needed it. But there are a lot of people now who are just bludging on it. What do you think, everyone? Do you think some people would be, needing that kick to work? I mean, you can't blame them. If it's so high and you've got to work 40 hours a week and you're only a couple of $100s ahead in a week, is it worth it? But then you got to add the cost of getting there and going back. I can appreciate both sides of it. I think working is better for you in the long run. It's better for your character and you'll get more self-confidence. You'll be healthier as a person. It's good for you and you need to do it. But I can appreciate why some people think, you know what, it's not worth it. And we're going to look at some terrible jobs as well after this. So for the past 4 months, she and her business partner, Cheryl Painter, have been working up to 90 hours a week. Even my doctor said to me, you need to slow down a bit, but what can you do, she said. You have to keep your business going forward, and if you don't serve the customers what they want, they're not going to come back. The announcement that job seekers will now have to actively look for work has given her hope that she can find the additional staff she needs. The people at the job agencies have said people can get reported now if they turn down jobs that they can physically do. She's hopeful things will get better. But do you want someone with that attitude, though? That's also the thing. If someone just can't be bothered working, can't be bothered putting the effort in, it's just jumping through the hoops. So a bakery is thriving during the restrictions. Up the road in Lismore, local baker Stephen Butcher, the baker's a butcher, funny, said during the initial COVID lockdown he lost sales to cafes and schools, but this loss was outstripped by a sales gain at the shopfront and small apartments in neighbouring towns. Many of the bakery's staff are casuals. We kept our staff on, but there were people who didn't want to work, he said. When we rang the job agencies, they said no one wants to work. They're getting the money from the government and they will not apply for the jobs. I'm hoping as of this week, when the money's cut back a bit, people will start looking for employment. So growing up on a family farm near Nimbin, Mr. Butcher is used to hard work. When I was going to primary school, I had 5 acres of potatoes I used to chip by hand, he said. No one wants to bend their back anymore. They're all after the higher wages. To keep the bakery running, well, you've got to understand, a lot of it, here's the thing, why would you work your ass off when it all gets taken off you anyway? To keep the bakery running, current staff have picked up extra hours, and the butchers have been working long days. On top of 2 natural disasters in the past 3 years, the workload is taking its toll. The floods in 2017 nearly wiped us out, Mr. Butcher said. We had a $400,000 debt, and I could have easily closed the doors, but we rallied. Then last year, we had the fires, and we pulled out, and we pulled out of annual leave, so we haven't had a break for 3 years. Well, that's the thing when you're a small business owner. It's a different world. It's a different world, and you hear the stories of people buying like a bakery shop or a franchise, and they've got no idea of what they're actually taking on. They think it's just an easy 9-to-5 job, and they get hammered. So vision for a post-pandemic future. The jobs are being offered at the Harwood Island shipbuilding business are a mix of skilled trade jobs, apprenticeships, and labouring jobs. Mr. Roberts says, as a nation, we undervalue labouring jobs. Everyone thinks that a labourer is an unskilled job, but in reality, doing what you're told, doing it well and safe, and being able to keep the continuity of the work all day is a skill. And he's right. The key to securing a more resilient economy, Mr. Roberts says, is reinvesting in manufacturing rather than importing goods from overseas. The problem is people don't want to pay for it. People don't want to pay for Australian made. Look at Dick Smith's brands. Australian made, branded. That was his whole shtick. Money going back to local charities. He shut him down. No one bought him. Frankly, I preferred some of the other products. Particularly, we went out of our way to buy it, but it was expensive. I can't understand when people say it's cheaper to manufacture overseas when you have unemployment in our own country. Well, it's because we've got minimum wages here that are among the highest in the world, and you've got red tape and bureaucracy here that slows down employment. That's why it's costly. But then again, costly overseas, it's catching up. It's catching up. Maybe we'll just have to wait. We'll have to wait for foreign wages to catch up to Australian ones to make it more affordable to build here. When you build in country, you employ in country, and that person goes off welfare and becomes a taxpayer, so you get 30% back straight away. Look what happens when we needed face masks. Australians were very creative. Well, no, they weren't. The military went in to the one facility they could and then fabricated the components to get their machine that they were salvaging from parts to increase capacity. That's what happened. Mr. Butcher hopes his bakery's workforce future lies in a new generation of workers. I'd like to see some keen, young, energetic workers come into the business to bring on the new Australia. So, there you go. Some interesting takes from business owners that are understandably frustrated at finding people to work, particularly in the lower end, lower skill side of things and the lower wages side of things. Now, let's have a look at a terrible job, because everyone is always saying about fruit picking. So what we have here is a Facebook post that was shared, and it's about a fruit picking job up in Bundaberg. So next time you see someone on the news complaining that they can't get workers and that Australians are too lazy, this is one reason. In the Bundaberg area, most or all of these jobs are at slave wages, and you have to live in their accommodation. What local in their right mind would do that? Now, I wouldn't consider the wages that they're offering slave wages at all, by any measure. I find that a little bit of an offensive term, because there is actual modern day slavery going on again, and it's even here in Australia, where you have people bringing in foreigners that can't speak English, stealing their passports, and then forcing them into domestic servitude. That's happening. Happened in Brisbane, a recent case. Indian couple working for the public service. I'll find that video and put it up. And you also have it in Africa too. It's made a comeback. Failed regimes. Just thank Hillary for that. Look it up, guys. It's quite horrific. So, working for minimum wage is not, or even below minimum, isn't slavery, guys. You still have the choice. But the conditions here are pretty bad, particularly having to live there. So I applied for a job a year or two back as a truck driver for a local farm. Shit money. And 12 hours per day, every day, all year. Is that even legal? So this post on the job site drew so much ire from the locals it has been removed. So this is Bundaberg's job vacancy site. So looking for 30 fit and healthy people to handpick tomatoes. Work will be done while sitting on a machine, so most of the work will be done with your upper body. First day of work will be on October 5th unless noted otherwise. The job is a group contract work and can guarantee a minimum of $140 per day per person. That's not too bad, $140 per day per person. Work hours are 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. every day. And here's the kicker, guys. You're required to stay in our accommodation during your employment. You must work a minimum of 3 weeks. For the applicants willing to commit, the first week rent will be free. The second week rent will be $70, and the third week onwards it will be $140. So if you go there for 3 weeks, you're making what? $140 a day, and you're spending $210 on accommodation. So 2 days could cover your accommodation out there. So, but a local may not want to do it, because what if they've got a house there? I had a friend who did fruit picking down here near Rockley when there were farms, and he made good money doing it. He made good money, but it's hard work. So what do you reckon? $980 per week? Would you do it for 3 weeks? Would you go out there to do some fruit picking? It's hard work. It's not easy. It's in the sun. It's hot. You got to bend over. You got to pick. You got to work. What do you reckon? What do you think, guys? Would you be willing to work out there? If you lived out there and had your own place, would you want to be paying for accommodation while you're doing your own accommodation? So it ain't perfect. Or would you rather stay at home? Let me know your opinions, guys. What do you think? What do you think? So there we have it. Several businesses that are happy with the JobSeeker cuts just because they're struggling to find people to work. You've got an example of a fruit picking job, which, well, isn't perfect, with a lot of conditions requiring you to live on their farm. But for someone, for a transient, for someone moving around, that could be an option. We had all the international students that were studying with me. They used to go out and do it all the time. Maybe, a school leaver could go out and do it after school. Spend a year fruit picking, earn some money, get a bit of experience, have an adventure. Could be. It's a lot easier when you don't have the mortgage, when you don't have the kids, when you aren't locked down. It's a lot easier, guys. I just keep thinking of mice and men whenever anyone says about fruit picking. Anyway, everyone, thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're watching today, plan to do a live stream tonight of the budget announcement to Parliament. Now, let's see what the government's doing. Thanks for watching. If you want to support the channel, there are a few ways you can. Simply commenting, interacting, and sharing the content is a great way to help the channel grow. You can support us financially by joining the channel on YouTube or Patreon. You can use any of our affiliate links you find below from Amazon, eBay, or Independent Reserve. You can buy a merch from HeiseSays or Teespring, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care, everyone. Have a great day. I'll see you next time.